Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Gambardella, and I'm one of the kindergarten teachers here. My classroom is here on the campus, and I'd like to welcome you to the school if you are new to the school. And for all of you who are our friends already, we're glad that you're here with us tonight. We are looking forward to an evening where I'm going to offer you just a little quick picture of some aspects of early childhood education, and then we're going to do what we like to call a World Cafe. We have 5 different topics in the room. We're going to stick with 5 topics. maybe we'll do 4. We'll do 4 topics. We're going to have 4 topics in the room, and which will be described to you later. And you'll get to choose one and head to that table. Spend some time around that topic with the teacher that's there. And then I'll ring a little bell, and you'll pick another topic and come around again, and then we'll all convene in the end to see what we've found together throughout the evening. So let me offer you just a couple little pictures. You know, in every stage of life, you just think about the stage that you are in now. We have many stages of life here. And every decade has its own special qualities and capacities. And in every stage, there is something that is really unique to that age. And this is very much the case, it's particularly the case, with our young children from birth to 21 to 25, till they really reach their beginning of their adulthood. And then, you know, as young adults, you have this capacity now to reflect and to look back. And you've inherited all these years of life experiences and family values. And now you can reflect back and you can take hold of it. And you can let go of it. And you can really make what's unique and waiting for you to unfold throughout your life. And it's this element of, in Waldorf education, of offering something, offering an environment and relationships and opportunities that can really lead this young adult to find their purpose-filled life. So before a child is born, the child experiences a oneness, a real unity, you know, with their world as they're developing the being of with the being of their mother. So when a child is born, this sense of oneness and connection is very present for them. It's really present throughout the whole of this early childhood life. The world is a good place, and the world is a oneness and whole, and they feel that, they find that everything that happens in the world is because they are there. They are the center of this world. And we teachers in Waldorf education are providing an environment and a wide range of opportunities and relationships that allow this sense of connection to be deepened and to be strengthened. And this happens when the child can be self-determining, can build meaningful relationships and experiences of the world of nature as a welcoming and friendly place of which she is part. There's so many aspects to the life of the very young child. I have been my entire adult life involved with early childhood education, and I never grow tired of the study of it and of each unique child that comes my way. It's really a fascinating thing. So I'd like us first to look at the number 3 and how it applies to our humanity. We have the concept of 3 embedded in our physical nature. And we have other ratios and numbers also in us, but tonight we're just going to look at 3. So if you can just look at your hands, right? In your fingers, you have 3 parts of your fingers. You have your hand, your lower arm, your upper arm, your foot, your shin, your thigh, your limbs, your torso, your head. There's all this element of 3-ness. And in the world of nature, you have the seed, the flower, and the fruit. And we talk often about a beginning, a middle, and an end to something. These concepts of three live right in our bodies and in our lives all the time. So in childhood, we also speak about 3 stages of development in 7-year increments. This birth to the age of 7 in this preschool life, from 7 to 14 in the elementary grades, and from 14 to 21 in the high school and through higher education and training. And we in Waldorf Education look at these stages and see that there are also 3 phases in each one. So this number 3 is a very important number for us. And a Waldorf education is a journey towards self-knowledge and building a person's capacities to experience the world, to respond inwardly to that world with their thinking and their feelings, and then to determine successful activity and participation in the world. And though here we speak about these in general conditions of child development, we know as teachers and as parents that each child brings their own individuality, and it's just slowly emerging over the course of these years, and it's really seeking authentic expression. So in these early childhood years, there are 3 phases, from birth to about 2 and 4 months, then from 2 and 4 months to about 4 to 8 months, and then from 4 to 7. So we can look at these 3 different things. And in this first phase, following birth, the baby is going to accomplish its primary human capacities through a beautiful sequence of movement. It's going to begin with limited self-direction and to becoming very purposeful. The child comes to walking and standing upright, really freeing their hands. And the children achieve this physical mastery, being able to really direct their own physical activity during this first phase of early childhood. And then through very playful, exploratory sounds, a child comes to speak. And from exploring objects in a concrete way, then through imitation, a child comes to its first original thinking when fantasy awakens in their life. And imagination just blossoms, starts to blossom all through that exploration and play. And this all happens in those first phase before the child is 3. Then in the second phase, from ages 2 and 1/2 to 4 and 1/2 or so, 5, the child takes all of this freedom achieved through being upright, being able to speak to others, and to interact with the world through fantasy, unleash things from the bounds of its everyday life. You know, a spoon suddenly becomes a boat or a plane or something else. It can be just loosened from its everyday existence. And now, at this point in their life, children turn outward, much more outward from the family and into relationships. And their relationships is much more their focus. And this is really where they are ready for a nursery group. It's right around that age. Then in the third phase, these very capable children, 4 and 1/2 to 7, have full blossoming imagination and a new dynamic in their play. Their bodies lengthen and they become increasingly agile. They're expanding on their physical skills that lead to phenomenal mastery. I want to tell you, we were in the woods with Mrs. Oswald last week, and some of my oldest children have created a hidden treasure. It's really hidden, and they've piled up an enormous number of logs and rocks to hide whatever they put in there. and then they got very busy with a small piece of this. And when we went over to look, they had created what they were calling a bridge. And it was these 2 thin logs like this, and then very carefully laying in equidistant these little sticks across to make this what they called a bridge up to this mound on top of the hidden treasure. But there's such phenomenal mastery that these children achieve. And they're able to carry concepts much more expansively. And I don't know about you, but I always had my living room turned upside down and inside out, you know, between the cushions being moved and the towels from the bathroom coming out. Anyway, you know, just because of what the children could create out of nothing and something at this age. So also significant throughout the 7 years, and in each of these phases, the young child's body movement and their sensory experiences are also their primary building blocks for their brain development and their brain organization and its future functioning. Hi, welcome. And we in Waldorf Education highly value the importance of this window of time that we have. And so we reserve direct instruction for first grade. All the learning in the kindergartens and the nursery happen through imitation and through a child's self-initiated industry, and out of their interest and their curiosity, and getting literally elbow deep in whatever's available with full hands. That's where learning and comprehension is really awakened. So now we'll leave this number 3, this very important number 3. And as I venture in here and describe how this body and sensory experiences are important, I'd like us to consider another way of thinking about an expression that we have. We talk about having a body of knowledge. And first and foremost, the young child is in her physical being and in her senses, receiving impressions entirely unfiltered. You know, we take in a lot of impressions, and we have a lot of discernment. We weigh and balance a lot of things, and children are completely unfiltered. They take everything in just the way it is. And her body and her senses are portals of information about herself, about others, and the world. And so as early childhood teachers, one area of focus for us is supporting this growth of a strong and capable human body. Where the young child experiences balance in her body, this will contribute to this young adult being balanced in her feelings and in her thinking. That the child that has habits of order will transform this to a teenager's orderly habits of mind and thinking, and contributes to good emotional hygiene. Another focus is ensuring that the child's sensory impressions are also used to be able to put the world into an order, to see that the world is a good place and it's reassuring and that demonstrates the wholeness of life. So in our English language, we have many expressions for knowing and experiencing something through our senses and through our body. So I'll just name a couple of them, and I'm sure you can think of some too. We say that we get a feel for something, or that a situation or interaction leaves a bad taste in our mouth. Or we'll say to someone who's speaking to us, I see your point. Or we might say to someone, be in touch. Or in conversation about an idea, we'll say, well, we'll run with that idea. So we have all these expressions that refer to our bodily experience and our sensory experience that relate right back to what we're trying to organize in our lives and do in our lives. So a little bit of trivia that I've mentioned before to some people, that in the 1600s, more than 300 years ago, the term making sense of something came into common usage. And it meant then what is reasonable, something that is reasonable. And it's as though we take this obvious, our senses that give us information, and then we make order of them. And out of that order arises understanding and knowing. And we reference our senses in our language, as I've mentioned, because they are really at the core of our experience. And we can truly know through those experiences. If we will but listen to the voice that speaks through those experiences, then we will have a true knowledge about the truth of things and of people. So when the child learns to climb and to fall, to run and to stop running, that's a big one, to sing and to be silent, to build and to deconstruct, to create and invent, and to fail and to restart. These are not understandings that take hold in the mind of the child. This is a knowing that's learned in their bodies, in their hands and their legs, in their eyes and their ears, in their nose and their mouth. This is where understanding is learned at this age and at this stage of life. And that's one of the things that we in Waldorf education, we allow the child to gain this body of knowledge. We're really building a body of knowledge. And this body of knowledge can be gained through their natural avenues, through their imitation and play, and the drive they have to repeat things, to be persistent, single themes over time. We also concern ourselves with building habits of being, resilience and persistence, interest and attention, social habits of being in community, and personal habits of order and self-care. Being able to have a relationship to words and language that serve her, that serve others, and also ignite a passion for learning. Teachers and children all work together in all manner of ways to care for the classroom together and on behalf of our daily needs there to build their character and their connection to life and to activity. So thank you for listening for this little capsule of things. You can think about how we have these 3 grand phases of child development leading up to our young adults. And then here in the early childhood years, we have these 3 phases. So where's your child in that? Is your child just turning 3 or so, or just over 3, just moving out of this place where they are just coming into a full mastery of just being able to be here, communicate, be free with their hands and abilities, and now are looking outward? Or is your child a little older and really interested in relationships, and that seems, and just how to get along, how to figure out how to be together? Or is your child in that last phase where there's just blossoming imagination and such industry and a feeling of power, being able to manipulate their world and manipulate people? You let them. So just imagine, just think, bring your child to mind, the children that you know. So I've given this simple little picture, and now we have 5 topics tonight, and 4 topics tonight, and each of my colleagues are going to offer what they're going to focus on at their table. And when they finish, then you'll go to that topic that you would like to focus on first, and bring your questions and your thoughts.